And they do a final toast, you know, and they kind of enjoy that. And they go back to this scene where Hector's standing in front of the sink, and he takes a pill and he drinks maybe some wine in a glass, it looks like, and he watches Connie through the window. And then Richie takes a picture of him, and he speaks about, you know, about how this guy is taking a picture of him while he's contemplating suicide. And it makes you wonder, is that what he sees in Connie, that being with her could be the death of him? And it just kind of makes you think. In the next scene, it goes back to the little boy, and Hugo is, you know, his, all of his scenes are kind of showing that this boy, like the issue of him not behaving well, is just slowly escalating more and more. And he continues to destroy the flowers. He's just ripping them out. And his mother tries to redirect him. She tries to, you know, speak to him, explain something to him, but he just kind of runs off again. And then Hector comes in and starts the game of baseball. He gets all the bases out, and he gets the bat, and he invites all the kids to participate. And he invites Hugo over as well. And then once it seems like the kids are properly distracted, he asks his father if he wants a beer, and when his father says no, he says, "I think I'm going to have one." You know, it's kind of just an excuse to see Connie, who had just picked up her second beer of the day. And so he goes to speak to Connie, and as he's walking towards her, he looks up to where he sees his wife on the balcony. Connie's underneath the balcony. It's kind of like this private area that not other people can see. And he, as he comes underneath the balcony, Connie asks if he's sad. And I wrote this down because I think it just kind of like, it's telling of where this character is. No, I'm insanely happy. I don't feel 40. I don't know what happened. I'm losing control of the elements. And it just kind of makes you think of where he's at. And Connie talks about how she says he's 28 and a half. You know, kind of trying to compliment him, comfort him in a way. And they hold hands, like their fingers just kind of interlock naturally. And he talks about how he would be too old for her, even if he was 28. You know, but there's still this flirtation. There's still this connection between them. And then, you know, it kind of goes back between him having this conversation with this young girl and Hugo, who has tried to hit the ball and wants to try to hit again. He wants another turn with the bat. And the other kids are saying it's someone else's turn, and he just refuses to believe in that. His father is up on the balcony and says that that Hugo needs to give the bat up, and that he will explain, you know, the whole situation to Hugo. You know, it seems like his parents think that explaining things will just, like, fix everything. But Hugo refuses to. I don't even think he hears his father. And he's just swinging the bat. He's just swinging the bat and, you know, looking at the kids and just, you know, wanting to take his turn again. I don't think that he's looking to hurt any of them. I think he's just swinging it, just enjoying this toy and not wanting to give it up. And so one of the kids, Harry's kids, goes, tries to get the bat, but Hugo keeps swinging the bat. And this is when Harry comes down, and he is racing down those stairs, and he takes the bat and he shakes the kid. He like grabs the kid by the shoulders and he shakes the kid, and he's just like asking him, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you swinging a bat at my son? What is wrong with you? Hugo kicks him in the shin, and this is when the slap happens. Slap. Like right at Hugo. And I mean, then it just becomes chaos. Hugo's father is there like quicker than even really makes sense. And he calls Harry an animal and a sick bastard. And it's just like everybody is like screaming, like, what is going on? Like, I can't believe you did this. And then Hector just like comes between them, and he's just saying like, he's okay, like Hugo's okay. He immediately becomes the peacemaker. He has left this dream of being with this young girl and is now someone who actually looks like a good citizen, trying to keep the peace between family members. And that is Zachary Quinto's character, Harry, claims that Hugo's parents don't know how to raise a kid, that they're a lazy hippie. And then Hugo's father, Gary, asks if Harry hits his wife, which seems like really out of bounds to me. He slapped the son, yeah, but that doesn't mean he beats on his wife. Or, maybe they're trying to make it seem more devious than it actually is. And the parents are like immediately cuddling their son, just like trying to diminish the trauma of this slap. And then Hector talks about, everybody going their separate ways. The party's over, don't you think? And he just kind of Hector looks at his cousin, like, this is over, this party's over. And his son comes up to him and just, is sorry, tries to apologize for the situation. But Hector tells him, like, this isn't your fault. Like, this isn't on you. And then later you see that Aisha is doing an examination on the kid and looking at his eyes and, trying to reassure the mother that, he's okay. It seemed to me a little bit, I don't know, just a little bit of an exaggeration, that he needs a medical examination after a slap. I think they may have made it look harder than it actually was, or maybe not. It's hard to tell, but I don't know. It seemed a little overkill for me. And then you go back to the scene where Connie is picking up after the party, and she's shocked by the whole thing. I think that's what I'm interested in the most, is how everyone reacts to this kid getting slapped. And she says it's not even his own kid. I think that may be one of the things that makes the slap so powerful, because it wasn't a parent disciplining his child, it was someone else disciplining their child. And it really calls into question our cultures and our values, and what's okay and what's not okay. And this is the time when Hector finally says this flirtation has to stop. And he speaks of how he loves Aisha. He loves his wife. And Connie says that she loves Aisha too. And that she hates what they're doing. And she thinks it's disgusting. And she says it's twisted. And she wouldn't want anyone to know. And so to me, that's a little confusing. You're so disgusted by your own behavior, but you keep doing it. So there must be something that's pulling her towards this 40-year-old man. If it's her own loneliness, or maybe she's had some, poor experiences in the past, and she's just reaching out to this, hoping that it's going to solve her problems, or that she's going to be able to connect with someone in a way that she hasn't, because he loves jazz. And she likes jazz too, I guess. Jazz isn't a very popular music in America, I don't think. And so maybe that's a part of it. And so then the scene comes back to him with his wife, Hector with his wife. And Aisha calls Harry a disturbed man and says that this won't go away and that this is against the law. And Hector tells her that he didn't get the job. And she's like immediately supportive. And now she's saying it's okay to cancel the party. But the party's already over. So I'm not really sure why she brought that back. But it seems like the couple is back on the same page again. And they kiss, and then, they clearly have some kind of sexual thing. I'm guessing a quickie, kind of like in the kitchen area. I don't know where the kids are. They might be asleep at this time, because it does seem to be like a scene forward from the last time. And then you hear the narrator. And the narrator says that Hector is an atheist, but he thanks God every day. I'm sorry, that's just kind of like, what? What? That doesn't really make any sense. If you don't believe that there's a God, then why are you thanking God? Or is it that he wants to, even though he doesn't believe that there's a God, he wants to have someone to thank? Maybe that's it. And the narrator says that the slap saved him from a disastrous mistake that he would regret forever. And so he kind of sees the slap as a way of pushing him away from Connie and coming to his senses. So he needed to see a kid get slapped in order to recognize that he loves his wife. I'm not sure if that's so true. And then it goes back to where Aisha and Hector are together, and she says that she thinks the parents are going to press charges, but Hector disagrees, and he kisses his wife, and they hug, and it's like, this very touching, soft hug, like this, reunification of husband and wife. It's like, oh, now everything's better, yay! And then there's like this image of Hector, still seeing Connie. So has the slap really changed anything? He still has these feelings for this very young girl. It's very inappropriate. And if he is the good man in America, I mean, what is good? Maybe another way of looking at good is someone who doesn't act on their thoughts. Maybe that's the message that they're sending to viewers. It's very interesting. And so that's the end of the show. And I would say that my opinion on this episode is I don't like Hector. I really don't like him. He seems, he actually has some symptoms of depression. I wouldn't diagnose him with major depressive disorder, but he does have some depressed mood and some thoughts of suicide. Whether the suicide is just him kind of breaking away from his wife, and then going down a road that would probably be not as satisfying as it seems, or if suicide for him would be just coping so negatively with everything else. You know, and by coping, what I mean is when something is difficult for someone to deal with, and they find ways to deal with them. That's what a coping skill is. And what I've seen in this episode is that he has a lot of negative ones. He smokes, he takes Valium, he drinks alcohol, he daydreams of cheating on his wife. You know, I mean, one of the good ones might be him listening to jazz music, but while he's doing that, he's shutting out his family. He's not connecting with his children. It seems like, or at least in this episode, what we have seen is that he doesn't seem to be enjoying his family for what they are. And, you know, or it could simply just be his reaction to not getting the promotion that he was hoping for. So if this is just one day in his life and, you know, maybe other days are more pleasant, I would definitely like to see that. I would like to see a different day in Hector's life. So I would like to say I do like the dynamic of the other characters. I really like Harry's character. I want to see more episodes with Harry. And the dynamic of Harry and Gary is just amazing because Harry is very dominant and he's, you know, very commanding, very competitive. It's all or nothing. It's you win or you lose. While Gary is an artist and he's about being respectful to everyone. And, you know, there's even a point in the episode where he said, children are not ours. You know, like, we don't possess our children. They are house guests. And there's something cold about that. There's something warm about it, but there's something cold about it too. I think it's great that he sees the independence of his children, but to say that they're house guests, that seems, you know, a little distancing to me too. I think if the show solely stayed on Hector, that it would be a boring show. Because Hector by himself is just not as interesting as everyone else. He doesn't have an appreciation for his family, and he doesn't seem to really involve himself in his family. Or at least by this episode, I haven't seen that. When I was looking at the the scenes in the background, actually, what I mean is, I was listening to a video of the actors talking about this show, And they mentioned that we are going to see every episode from a different character's perspective. I'm really excited about that. I think that starting with Hector may have been a good choice, if only for us to kind of get an idea in the head of the peacemaker of the family. But I want to see the other characters. I want to know more about them. And I'm really excited to see the next episode and to review the next episode with all of you. So this rating, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's just good enough to keep me watching. And I hope that you're watching The Slap, the NBC show The Slap, and that you enjoyed this podcast of the review of The Slap. My name is Tinelle Creations. Thank you so much for listening with me today. I look forward to bringing some regular reviews of future episodes. Take care. Bye-bye.